Okay, so here we go.
Mm-hmm.
We are back
Okay.
with Wilma Winifred Rutledge. We're still in the month of January 2016.
Okay.
So we're just about 3.5 months short of your 90th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of doing a romp through the past, as it were.
Romp.
Romp.
That's a good idea. I mean, it's a good plan.
Yeah. Okay, so we left off we just got to Arbuckle. So what was life like in Arbuckle?
There was a lot of grain growing around that area, and so I tried one time to take an allergy pill, and it put me in bed. So I realized that I couldn't take an allergy pill. So we handled it well, but as well as I could. It was a small church, and so Dad supplemented income by working on the highway.
The new I-5 that was
the new highway that was going in, and he worked on that to supplement our income. But we developed good friendships there quickly, and one of them, of course, was Betty, the postmistress, and her last name was Everson, Betty Everson, and
who I got to know later when I was in college and broke down in Arbuckle, and she let me stay in her house for a week while I worked on my car.
Yes, we shared that story a little earlier today.
Yeah.
And that's where Sue was born, in Woodland, there was no hospital in Arbuckle, so we traveled a short distance to Woodland, and that's where she was born.
Arbuckle was, I know that's where I kind of learned to talk, because you've always made stories about first words that I said, and that's where I learned it. Was I crawling backwards? Was that where I was crawling, or was that something?
You crawl backwards, and we put you in the middle of the room, and you'd crawl backwards like a crab does, or whatever it is, and you
and that was Arbuckle too, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then that's where you learn to walk, and we had to push you a little because Sue was coming, and she was born there, and.
So how long were we in Arbuckle?
I've tried to recall that, but I'm sure it wasn't more than 2 years. And
at that point, we went to New Mexico.
From there, we
Lordsburg.
went to Lordsburg.
And what was there a reason why Dad left Arbuckle and moved and went to New Mexico, or?
Well, I think he was tired maybe of supplementing the income, and it would be a larger church.
Oh, it would be.
And so. And we had some contact there for that distance, and I couldn't recall the name, but there were some older pastors there, and they wanted us, and they knew Dad.
A connection through Glad Tidings, I'm assuming, or
probably, yeah, and so they let us know that they were going to be leaving, and so Dad. He always prayed about everything, but he felt that and it was a short experience.
How long were we there?
Or just a matter of months.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So is it because Dad didn't like the church, or you didn't like the weather, or?
I've tried to recall what it was, but
because that would have probably made a big difference in our life if we'd have stayed in New Mexico for a few years and Stan being born down there. We'd probably never ended up, in Oregon, or we probably stayed in that whole New Mexico, Arizona.
Yes, we probably would have, but and I can't remember why we left. I'm not sure we had a call to Daly City. That's where we went next. But it's possible that Dad knew that it was going to be available, and so he wanted to. And we really, the climate was hard on us. It was really difficult.
I've looked at Lordsburg through Google Earth with you. Actually, we did that the other night, and that was a small. Just doing the street views. It's a very small, out in the middle of nowhere town.
Really, and the congregation was smaller than Arbuckle.
Well, I thought you said it was a larger church.
Well, it was. We thought it was going to be.
Oh, I see. Okay, you thought it.
Yeah. We had hoped that there would be, better income, and I don't know if it was a matter of income or not.
Yeah.
But.
So we were in Lordsburg for a few months.
Yeah,
Then we headed north again.
Yes, and.
Daly City.
Yes, and I was already pregnant with Stan.
Yep.
So, and he was born in San Mateo.
South San Francisco. Oh yeah, Mills Hospital. Exactly. Same place both of my sons were born.
Oh really?
Same hospital. So you don't know how what the connection was that got us to Daly City.
Well, again, it would be somebody that we knew that was leaving, and I can't bring that up in my recall.
Yeah, and when I was a kid, that church was huge to me, and I've driven by it a few times lately, and it's so small. I mean, it seems so. And I drove you by it last year when you were here, and it was.
But it's kept well.
It's kept well. The neighborhood is. I would not, think the neighborhood was as safe as it was when we were there, but. It's sure you drive by it and it really brings back memories because it hasn't really changed much. So we were in Daly City for how long? Before we moved to South City. So how long we were in the parsonage?
We bought a new parsonage, and we stayed there just a few months again.
But the old parsonage, how long were we in the old
there?
Yeah.
You get me into the time frame, and I can't be sure of anything. But we were there, and again, Dad was deeply loved by the people, and they were very unhappy when we left. But you remember the babysitter that. Was a block up the hill.
Oh yeah, that lived in the house. Yeah.
Yeah, and she had a whole room and that helped me because I went back to work at the Emporium. And,
you went back to work at the Emporium after. Oh, okay.
And I worked there.
I didn't know that. So
for a little while.
Were you do the same thing, or were you in a different position?
I was a cashier wrapper, and as I remember, I think I. Came in second or third on a contest that they had going. Anyway.
I remember that little house up the street from where we live.
And she was a babysitter. She was very, very good, and she cared
about me. She went to the church too, didn't she?
Yes.
Okay, so then we bought the house on 50 Franklin. And we weren't there for very long, obviously.
No, Stan was born when we were there.
I remember you bringing Stan home.
Yes.
That's where Dad brought home his Fender guitar.
Oh.
I remember him showing that to me. That when it was later stolen. That's the house that had the stairwell down the side. I think Sue fell down the stairs and broke a bone. I can't remember exactly.
I can't remember. I don't think it was a break.
Oh, it wasn't.
Because that would have entailed a hospital, and that always, got in my recall.
Yeah.
Then my mother came down and visited us, and I think it was maybe we had made the decision to leave, and we sold the house. We had just purchased it, and we were in there probably 4 or 5 months.
That's all. Wow.
And but real estate was never important to your father. He always wanted to, and we were drawn to the organ. We wanted to be back.
Yes, so, in the Oregon district. So we had that house in Daly City, and at that point in time, there were plans to build a new church in Daly City.
And Dad hesitated because they were going to go into a building program. That's the reason we left. And that was not his
Forte?
No. He built congregations, and he didn't, so. But we learned a lot. We learned a lot in all of this process.
Yes. So So now you've had 3 children, all 3 of them. So let's kind of talk about that. How did you determine what names each of us would have?
Well, of course, you were Stephen, because of my grandmother named me Winifred, and her last name, her maiden name was Stephen. It became Potter. And Susan, I just liked the name. I think that's all I can say about that.
And Annette was...
It was just went well with it.
Yeah.
I actually just wanted to be Susan Ann, but you don't do Susan and Ann. You have to put...
Because it would sound like Suzanne.
Yeah. So that's why we put the Annette in there. And Stan, I don't think I just wanted to keep to the S's, but...
Well, you had William, so that was his first name, was
yes,
William. After your dad, I'm assuming.
Yeah. And I thought he looked so much like my father at birth that that's where we dubbed him.
And the Stan just seemed to flow with it then. William Stanley.
But he dropped that in the course of coming, down to L.A. and he dropped that William. But
okay, I just that's good to have on record on the reason that you were named, and we've already gone over when they were born. So let's see. Do you have like a favorite memory of each of us that stands out on like something we said or did that was either good or bad? Well, don't go into me for bad, because
we always look for bubble lights on the Christmas tree.
Yes,
because you fell in love with the bubble lights and you liked the movement, and you'd lay down and look up at the...
We now have bubble lights on our tree every Christmas. We
got them really?
Last year on Amazon.com. So
oh my!
We had this our second year. We've had bubble lights on our tree.
Oh my! I did not know that.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was important to you, and so anyway.
So funny story about Sue then. To go from Sue, what was something that she?
Well, she climbed. She was a climber. And one time I found her on top of a refrigerator.
Oh, you're kidding?
Well, it was a small refrigerator.
It doesn't matter. That's still...
Yeah, but she climbed. She liked to climb.
Wow.
And she'd get up, and she climbed.
That's amazing. I never knew that.
You didn't?
No, never. Stan? What about Stan?
Well, Stan was the preacher.
Yeah.
From birth.
We have video to prove that.
Yeah, I know. And remember sitting on the stairs... in Sweet Home.
Or how about the woodpile in Reedsport?
Oh, yeah, that was before that. And yes, and he, you remember? Well, we have a video, I think of it. And yes, but when I brought the stairs up, he said to you, if you could only stay if you put something in the offering.
Yeah.
Remember? So his mind was torn for the financial part of it too.
Yeah, financial and ministry.
Yeah.
So, that's great. Okay, so we've talked about the children. So now we're heading to Oregon.
Okay, and Mom was with us because she helped us move.
Oh, really?
She came down and helped me, and the house sold quickly. It was, it wasn't a matter of big concern, and we didn't have that much equity in it.
Yeah.
And so I can't remember even the value of that house, but 50 Franklin, we never will forget 50 Franklin.
I know, and it's interesting because I drove you by there last year, and they've kept it up, and really it's like one of the nicest houses on the block, I think.
Yes.
So it's interesting that we remember that address so well.
Okay.
And we only lived there for a few months.
Yes, plus the fact that that's where I got the spice rack. Somebody gave that to me out of the Reedsport, the where were we?
50 Franklin.
50 Franklin, the
Yeah.
Daly City Church.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who it was. It could have been the nurse that had become a good friend.
Because Sue got really sick when we were in Daly City.
Yes. And we were feared polio. And we put her in the hospital, and she had to stay there overnight. And she became so fearful of anybody in a white coat that we'd go in a grocery store, and the butcher, and she would cling to me.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I remember while she was in the hospital, I totally remember people bringing me toys.
Oh.
Remember people come by the parsonage, and we were living in the old parsonage at then.
Yes.
And I used to bring me little cars or whatever, you know.
That was a frightening time because we weren't sure, you know.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I remember the old parsonage. I remember waking up on Sunday morning, hearing Dad, you know, singing or playing one of his Jim Reeves records, I think, or.
Okay.
And was I still in a crib in that old place?
You know, that was in Reedsport when we woke up to music, I think.
Okay, but I remember in Daly City, he would be.
Oh, okay.
He would be singing. He would, if not playing it, he would be, you know.
Yeah.
While he was shaving or whatever, it was.
Yeah. He loved music.
Yeah. So we were just there. We're heading to Reedsport. The connection on how we got that church.
Well, I think we went to. My folks and made the contacts. We were trying out for two churches at the same time, and one was up above Reedsport, and I can't recall the name of that. But anyway, it turned out that we were elected at Reedsport first, and Dad, because of his conscience, he wouldn't leave his name in for the other. And I think that the other church was larger, and it would have been, you know, desirable.
Yeah.
But Reedsport was a good time for us, and that's where you and Sue started school.
Right.
Yeah.
So I remember walking to school from our house. So how long did we stay in between? What was the time frame between Daly City and Reedsport?
Probably you're going back to the time frame, and it was very short.
Okay.
Dad didn't have time to hold any special services for anyone. He just spoke for each church, and I think it was a fellowship meeting that we had the old fellowship meetings, and that was a combination of churches of the area. And I think he spoke for that at the one, and they asked him if he would come to be their pastor, but we were already elected at
Oh, I
Reedsport.
see. Okay.
And Dad always, you know, with good conscience.
Because I remember we were at Philomath when it was really flooding, and we had to take the. Remember, it was flooding. We took the boat from the house, and then we stayed at the church. Didn't we stay in the cabana upstairs?
We stayed in the church.
Was that during that time period, or was that?
You know, I can't remember where that was.
Because I remember that night vividly, you know.
Yeah, it was a little scary.
Yeah.
The water was high enough for us to get
We took a boat from the house
out of the boat.
down the street until
Down the street.
Yeah.
We went down the street in a boat.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. And I remember staying upstairs
In
at the church. Yeah.
And the Leans were
Yeah.
the pastors there. And that'll probably come to me. I'll place it in the right place
Right,
after we are done with this.
So then we're in Reedsport. So in Reedsport's where you get your driver's license and where we start school. And how long were we in Reedsport?
Let's see, did you go you went 2 years of school and you started your music piano there.
Yeah.
And Sue, of course, started with you.
Yep.
And you took swimming lessons.
Well, I don't remember that.
Yeah, you took swimming lessons.
I remember piano lessons. I don't remember the swimming lessons.
Okay. So, but we were called to try out for Sweet Home.
Oh, you were?
Yes, yes. Pastor Barton was there, and he had been there for many, many years.
And he was on his way to Salem at that time, right?
Pardon me?
Was he on his way to Salem?
Yes, to First Assembly.
Yeah.
And so they called us, and it was very hard. There was a couple, Loretta Hodges and Chuck.
Oh yes.
Loretta and Chuck Hodges.
We went back there years later for one of their weddings of their children.
Yes. They called Dad back for some wedding. But anyway, it was a very large church, and so that.
Yeah, the difference between Sweet Home and Reedsport was night and day.
Yeah.
So what do you think was the highest attendance at Reedsport?
Oh, well, and we had a register in Sunday school, and I think it was up to 400.
In Reedsport?
A record.
No, you're saying Sweet Home. I mean Reedsport. How do you think the?
Well, we had 100, probably 112 or 120.
Yeah, that's good. But Sweet Home was not only was there more people, but it was a much larger facility as well.
Yes. And there's so many memories from Sweet Home.
Oh yeah, because I always think I started. Was I starting the third grade when we moved to Sweet Home?
Yes. And Sue was the second grader.
Right.
And Stan was still, at home. And that's where we had him preaching to the stairs.
Yeah. That's where we got our first TV.
That's vivid in my mind.
That's where we got our first dog. That's where we got our first TV.
Yes.
And I remember the church being right next to a funeral home.
Mm-hmm. Dad was called to do funerals.
I remember their little gravel path between the church and the funeral home. At night, I was always didn't really want to walk around that side of the church because of the funeral home. Because I just always had it was
really.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that. So, and Grandma lived with us there for a period of time.
So yes, because now, did she move to Reedsport? She didn't come to live with us at Reedsport, right?
No. There wasn't room for her there.
Yeah.
Really. Remember going back to Reedsport, how the slanted roof, you guys were almost, the roof was slanted where
our bedrooms? I don't remember that,
but you were so short.
Yeah.
That it wasn't a problem, but it was with me, and that's why I remember it, because to make you change your beds,
Yeah.
So it was on the incline, the slant of the roof.
And so all three of us stayed in the same bedroom?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
That's where we had you.
Wow. So so we moved to Sweet Home. And Sweet Home, we all had our own. Well, Stan and I had a bedroom. Sue and Grandma had a bedroom. So it was a 3-bedroom parsonage.
Yes, it was.
With just one bath upstairs and a half bath downstairs. Correct?
Yes.
So that was a lot of memories from there. I mean, we could tell stories all day long on that place.
Yes, I know.
So, what are some of your fondest memories? I know there's a lot of bad memories from that church as well.
The board gave Dad a tough time there, but we stuck it. We stuck it out over 5 years. Then
3rd grade to 8th grade. That's right, because I just starting 9th grade when we moved to Salem.
Okay.
So, so 5 years, 4 years in the old parsonage, and not even 1 year in the new parsonage, right?
No. We moved in early in February or somewhere, and then we left in September. But it had become a issue, and Dad, at that point, we moved to Salem, and into a woman who wanted somebody to move into the house, totally furnished, which we needed because at that point, we didn't have any furniture, and I'm trying to recall her name.
I don't recall her name. I remember the street was Delmar.
Yes.
It's right
it
up
was
the
totally
street.
furnished, even to the tea towels and the towels and the linens.
It was like half a block from Shakey's Pizza, which to us was like a
Yes,
miracle.
And Dad did a series of teachings before we took Calvary Temple.
Yeah.
And
He went on the road for a while,
yes.
and we stayed in that house. And I remember,
We had pizza every night.
oh, just about, yeah. It was a very. It seemed to be a very free time for us
It
kids.
was a freeing time.
Yeah.
We had no obligations to the church.
Yeah.
And you guys felt that also.
Yeah.
You know. But,
Yeah, I remember that. And there was a piano in there, so we could keep our piano lessons up.
yes. Mm-hmm.
So, small backyard, but it opened into a huge park for the school where the baseball parks were. So
Okay.
there was a lot of room there.
And we had the benefit of that garden.
The garden, yes.
The tomatoes were ripe. The corn was ripe, and
And we had one of the biggest snowfalls while we were living there. Remember the snow that one Christmas?
Are you talking
snow,
about
Delmar.
Oh, Delmar.
We had a huge snow.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember that vividly. It was one of, we used to get snow about every 5 years at Salem, and that was a peak year, and we got a lot of snow.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
So, okay, so Delmar was really a great experience for us kids. I mean, Stan and I, we slept in the garage.
We put the bed up in the garage.
Our headboard was the garage door.
Oh, well, no, wasn't it pointed the other way?
I don't
remember.
know. I just remember the garage door was still a working garage. We were
Yeah, but we didn't ever open it. It was
no, we did not open it.
We made it your bedroom. And,
Yeah.
So, but that was you nailed it when you said it was a freeing experience for us. And Dad took a series of, and one of them was for Mel Stewart.
Really?
Who turned around and respected Dad, you know.
So, just real fast to go back to Sweet Home just for a second. All of the families that we've known that were ministers there, the Jeffers were ministers there. Rick, Dick's mom and dad were the Stewarts. Denny Davis's parents were ministers there. Remember Denny Davis?
Yeah.
Who later had Central Assembly.
Oh.
He wrote his name in that stairway going down from the
Okay.
kitchen to the basement.
Okay.
So there was a lot of people that went through Sweet Home Assembly.
Yes. Yes.
I think the Davises were there before us. I'm almost positive.
I think so.
Yeah,
Because he was.
he was older than
he
me.
did,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
and-
when he was a kid, because I would talk to him, and he talked. He wrote his name on the wall.
Oh.
And that's a little stairway that went down to the kitchen under in the basement.
Oh, you would remember that.
Yeah.
And remember the furnace that we.
Oh
had
yeah,
the
sawdust.
furnace.
Yeah.
And they delivered sawdust once
And then
a
we'd have to
month.
get up there and shovel sawdust into the top of the bin. That stuff
The
just.
only time where I ever heard of a sawdust furnace was
Yeah,
there.
they'd come and blow it. There was like a and it was there was two furnaces, one for the church and one for the parsonage.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was very interesting
I was.
because the heat smelled like had a burning wood thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It had its own odor
Yeah.
or fragrance,
Yeah,
whatever you
exactly.
want to call it. Okay. But
Yeah.
anyway, so we were in Delmar for a period of time, and then
It was just about a year though, wasn't it?
oh no,
Was it longer than a year?
No, less than a year.
Oh, less than a year.
Less than a year.
Because I was going to Parish Junior High School, wasn't I? That while we were there.
Yes.
Yes.
I think you took one semester,
Yeah.
and maybe you transferred to the other school. I'm not even remembering.
No, I